Namaskar. Welcome you all in this educational video of NIOS. Today we are going to do subject EVS. This is for senior secondary level and code number for this subject is 333. Today we are going to do lesson number 2. Lesson name is, as you can see on the screen, it is Environmental Science. Lesson name is Environment and Human Society. Let us now understand the introduction part of this lesson. We all know that there is a relationship between the environment and the human society. The environment has played a great role in shaping the human societies. But we human beings also from the society, they have also affected the environment. The interaction between human society and the environment is constantly changing. As we all know that we use different resources from the environment, we get food from the environment, we eat so many things, there are vegetations available in the environment, these are our basic needs. So all these things we get from the environment and the human society uses them all. But we also should be aware, in return, we as a human also influences the environment. Like humans, they cut so many trees and they use those resources for making their buildings, constructions. So there is an equal give and take among both. So accordingly, there is interaction between the human society and the environment, and it is constantly occurring. During earlier days, the primitive humans lived in forests. And at that time, as we all know that the humans, they had a different physical structure which was completely different from the modern days human. That time, that primitive human, they lived in forests and near water bodies, and they also interacted with the environment, as they used to hunt and they used to gather different foods, they used to collect stones for making some tools so that can be used for them. Let us now understand the objectives of this lesson. First, we will be understanding the natural resources which are in the environment. We call them as environment. I will explain all those resources and you will be able to understand. The second objective is we will be able to understand this word Homo sapiens. This is the scientific name of the human body. we all must be aware and we all must remember that Homo sapiens is the name. It's a scientific name which is given to the human being, which was the primitive man. You can say the first generation man. In science, we call him Homo sapiens. Whenever we talk about Homo sapiens, that means that first man of this earth. The third objective of this lesson is we will also be able to understand and discuss about all the primitive humans as hunters and gatherers. We will understand all this later. And the next objective is we will be able to describe the tools used by primitive humans for different purposes which that primitive human were using at that time. And the fifth objective, which is the last objective, we will be able to explain how the nomadic humans started living a settled life. As we all know that earlier the humans were moving from one place to the other, but after some time something happened and they started living a settled life. Now let us begin our lesson. As you can see on the screen, there are different kinds of resources available in the environment, and those resources can be categorized in two categories. The first one is abiotic and the other one is biotic. Let us first understand the meaning of abiotic. Abiotic are those resources which are non-living. You can also see the image on the screen, like the soil and the water from the rain, the temperature. So all these things, all these resources are known as abiotic or non-living resources. And the other category you can see on the screen as well, it is of biotic, that means having living creatures like plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, vegetables, fruits, all those things which we use for our food. For example, if we keep our food for 1 or 2 days, then you can see the fungi. So that is also biotic. Here we are talking about only the environmental resources. Just as we understood the two main categories, abiotic and the biotic resources, let us now understand little more about the abiotic resources. These abiotic resources, as you all know, these are in the environment, which are the physical part of nature. As you might have seen some of the natural places like this. In the image you can see on the screen all these abiotic resources. There is a map, and the sunlight is very strong which is coming on the earth, and also the gas is available. As we cannot see the gas or the air and the petrol, the soil, the metals, all these are the physical things which we can see and we can touch. So these are all abiotic resources. We have understood the abiotic resources. Let us now understand the biotic resources. These biotic resources are from the biological part of nature, which includes plants, animals, and also the microorganisms. We know that microorganisms are very small organisms, so we call those small organisms as microorganisms. We have understood the two categories, abiotic resources and biotic resources, that you can see on the screen as well. Here we will understand the few examples of these resources. Like abiotic resources are land, water, energy, petroleum and natural gas, and also the metal ores. On the right side of the screen you can see the biotic resources are plants, animals, like we are also biotic resources, and microorganisms. We will further in detail understand about both of these resources in our further slides. Now let us begin with abiotic resources. First we will talk about land, which is a abiotic resource. Have you all seen the mountains, the rocks, the deserts, plain and grasslands, forests and swamps? So we humans not only make our homes in these land areas, but we also prepare fields for cultivation, and we also grow crops according to the prevailing climates. In nature you must have seen the green places, like whenever there are some plants, there are some roots also, and you must have seen some swamp areas in the environment. So land is a abiotic resource which we use for different purposes. We grow plants, we cultivate crops. So land is a powerful abiotic resource. And whatever modifications we do in our prevailing climates. As we all know, the word shed, which is used for cattle and different domestic animals, cows and all the domestic animals, they live there. And also there are some other shelters which are constructed, and sometimes there are roads carved out of the mountains for different purposes like travel and transportations. You must have seen circular mountains, roads. So those circular roads are all carved roads. In addition, You can see, and you must have seen the places being utilized for flyovers, subways, metros, and of course for different industrialization purposes and factories and different urbanizations work also. And sometimes there are some human projects which are done on the land. And all these projects which are done on the land, they diminish the natural land resources, because all those construction work, all those buildings, factories are constructed there. Now we have understood the land. Now let us understand this water resource. This is very important. Water is another important natural resource. And we all know that our life cannot exist without water. It is impossible. So it is the basic human need. Food, water, vegetables, these are our basic needs. And water is very important among all these needs. Our country has plenty of rivers, and also it is surrounded by sea from three sides, if you see in a map. But still, we face a lot of scarcity of potable water. It's a big problem. And this scarcity of water, which is a big problem, this is because that we humans, we use the fresh water from the natural water bodies. And because we know that the natural water bodies are having the salt, so those water bodies, they filter the water, and the filtered water is sent through pipes and taps to our urban homes. And at homes, we all must have seen the pipes. Our water in our home come from the tap. If we drink the outside water, that is a salty water. We will not be able to drink it. And in the ocean and sea, we use that only to catch fish from the seawater, and also to travel on ships from one place to another, just for enjoyment purpose, just like a picnic. But we cannot use that water for our everyday life. That is a difficult work. Now let us understand little further that natural water bodies include the two main resources. The first one is ocean and the second is seas. Also the surface water bodies such as rivers, lakes, waterfalls and ponds are also the water resources. In India, we have different rivers, and there are different lakes also. Different water bodies are there in our country. So sea and ocean is not the only water bodies. and almost 80% of the Earth's fresh water, it remains frozen on the two poles, the North Pole and the South Pole of the Earth. You must have seen the globe, image of the globe. So on the two poles, the water is frozen at the higher altitudes and on the mountain tops. So only 20% is available in liquid form. And we all know that water is needed for different purposes. Like the first purpose of water is, it is used for irrigation of agricultural crops. And the other usage of water is, it is used in industries. So water is important. And the third usage of water is, it is used for building, construction work. And the fourth usage of water is, there are some businesses like culture of fish, culture of prawns or aquatic plants. So you can say the aquaculture business, we need water for the work. You can say a project or a business. And also it is used for drinking, bathing, cleaning, washing, gardening. And in our daily life, we use water for drinking, we use it for bathing purpose, for cleaning, for cleaning our home, we wash everything, and we wash our utensils, we do gardening, we wash our clothes. So water is used for many purposes like gardening, pottery making, etc. So all these are the different usages of water. So water is very important for human life. It supports the human survival. And water, we all know that water is a natural, replenishable resource. And also we know that it is becoming scarcity it is becoming less now. As we have understood the abiotic resource, land and water, now this is the another abiotic resource, which is energy. We all know that we get solar energy from the sun. We human also use solar energy in different ways. The primitive humans used energy in their own ways, like they used firewoods and also they used cow dung and also other animal waste for heating and cooking purposes. So there are different kinds of animal wastes which can be used for the production of energy. Now this is another form of energy. We all know that seeds are very useful and oil can be extracted from seeds, and also fish was used by that primitive man to light caves and have shelter. As the caves were dark, So they used to put oil, and with the stone they used to light and have energy in their room so that they can do their work in the presence of light. And another major source of energy is fossil fuels such as coal. We know that fossil fuels are inside the earth. And coal, as you all know, that coal also has been formed from the vegetations which grew millions of years ago. They fell and got trapped in the sediments during that time, and under immense pressure and intense heat for a long time, for years, trees and vegetations buried in sediments, they got transformed into coal. The duration for all this transformation is not few years, it is many years. It has been kept under pressure inside the earth for a very long time. Now let us have a break here.
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, हम
अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो,
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात
Now let us discuss the usage of coal. The first use is that we use coal for the cooking purpose as a fuel, and the second use of coal is that we use it for running different locomotives like railways, you must have seen, and also the furnaces use coal for making the bricks. There are different factories which make bricks, and those factories have furnaces. And the third usage is, it is important in various industries for the generation of electricity. The fifth usage is that coal is used for the extraction of metals and minerals. As we all know that we extract coal from the ground, and then there is special methods for extraction of minerals from that coal part or the black part. And the sixth part is usage is thermal power generation. Now this is another use of this energy, which is petroleum and natural gas. Petroleum was probably originated from the marine animals that lived during past geological periods, just as coal was formed from vegetation far below under the ground. And also millions of years ago, animals and plants which lived during that period, and when they got buried after their death under those layers and layers of soil, and the pressure converted them into the fossil fuel. And nowadays, whenever we need coal, we extract that from under the ground. So nowadays we use that coal. As we know, there are different layers on the earth which is inside the earth. So we are using that coal from the underground part. And also you might have heard, you might have seen the CNG, which is compressed natural gas. It is nowadays being used to run different automobiles, and it is also considered to be a relatively clean fuel. As you know that petrol vehicles, diesel vehicles and CNG vehicles, these are the three different categories of vehicles, and there are different kinds of petrol pump. So whenever CNG is used, it does not pollute the environment or does not pollute the air. So this CNG is created by the compressing of natural gases. So that is why it is called as CNG in brief. We know that electricity can be generated using diesel and natural gas, and also the LPG we all must have seen in our home. It is liquid petroleum gas. It comes in the cylinder through pipes, and in our home it is used as a fuel for cooking purposes. LPG is used for the cooking purpose and CNG is used for the transportation. Now let us discuss about metal ores or minerals. You know, when humans have dug up the mines and removed the massive amount of different metals like aluminium, iron, copper, lead, zinc, and mercury, etc. from the natural deposits. There are different kinds of metals which we get from inside the earth, along with the coal, the fossil fuel. All these metals are of different colors and they are being used for different purposes. We will discuss in detail in our further lessons. Now you can see the word aluminium is a metal, but it is not a heavy metal, it is just a very light metal. And there are different forms of aluminium, and you must have seen different utensils in your home for making food, like you sometimes have aluminium spoons and different vessels you use at home while cooking. They are all made up of aluminium. And also for transportation, for the vehicles, few parts of the vehicles is made from aluminium, and those parts are the light weight parts, not very heavy. And also the spacecrafts use aluminium. So these are the usages of metals. Now the second metal is iron. Iron and its alloys, they are used for making different materials, like armaments are the weapons which we used for our army, and also the railway lines are made from iron. The wheels of the railways are also of the iron, and also the bogies, the bonnets of the car also has iron. And the engines. Another metal is copper. We know copper is a bit red in color. You can see the image on the screen. This is used for industrial containers, electric wires, and it is also used in the telecom industries. We also use copper and zinc for making brass items. Copper is a strong metal, so that is why it is used in the industrial container purposes. And in the electric wires, you must have seen the red thread inside the wire. and the different items we use in the telecom industries, they have copper wires inside. And we make brass using copper and zinc together. In our home also, we use different handles which are made from brass. Like there are some instruments we play during marriage. So there are a lot of things which are made from copper. And I hope you will not forget the jewelries made of gold, silver and the platinum. All these are metals only. These are the natural resources. Till now we have talked about abiotic resources. We have understood land, water, energy and the different names which were under this group. Now let us discuss the biotic resources. In this we have plants, animals and microorganisms. So let us first begin with the plants. We know that microbes are the microorganisms such as bacteria. There are various organisms which are very small, but these are few names you should be aware of. The first one is bacteria, second is protists and the fungi. These are so minute that we cannot see them through our naked eyes, and they can be seen only under the microscope. So we put this slide in the microscope, and if we see through using a microscope, we can see the microorganisms. And some of these microorganisms, they cause disease, but there are some good microorganisms as well. And what good they can do? Like sometimes they ferment our food stuff, such as pizza bases, we all know, we all have eaten. So we put some yeast in the dough and keep it for some time, then automatically it gets fermented. That is because of the microorganisms. And the bread, there are some good bacteria and some bad bacteria, or some good microorganisms, some bad microorganisms. And also there are some microorganisms in the water, and also some in the different kinds of drinks. And there are different microorganisms available which help us clean the environment by degrading the waste and the dead animals and plants. Whenever there is an animal who is dead, animal or plant who is dead, there are very small microorganisms which comes inside that animal and start eating that, and slowly we see that the waste material is degraded and it vanishes after some time. It becomes soil. So this is due to these small microbes. And plants, of course, it gives us oxygen, and also the food. So these are the two main usages of plants, that it gives us air to breathe and the food to eat. And we all know that we need food for our survival. The main two staple foods are rice and wheat, and these two are also the seeds of plants. These are the grains which we cultivate, and so similarly we get pulses and spices. And there are many plants which provides us natural fibers like cotton and jute for us, which we use for making bags and clothes. And also rubber, resin, woods. These are some plants products which are used for making different articles used in our daily life. We use cap, clothes, and the mat, different types of items like coconut, waste material. So whatever it is of no use, we make things out of that thing. Like we know cotton, we make clothes, and cotton comes from the plant. So plants are really useful for making different materials which we use in our daily life. And also the rubber, the resin, the wood. These are the plant products which we use for making different articles. These articles we use in our daily life. Also some medicines also we get from the plants only. And there are different views of these natural resources. Let us understand the one view. Like on one hand, the natural resources are fast and depleting because of the over exploitation by the humans. And the other view is that our earth is becoming a big dumping ground for the waste material which is generated by the activities of the fast growing human population. And this is becoming a cause of concern, as it is resulting in the deterioration of human, animal, and plant life. So it is really a cause of concern. Now let us understand the relationship between the primitive human society and the environment. Let us discuss it in points. We know that the modern humans has been evolved because of the transformation, and it was about 2 million years ago from ape-like ancestors. The two major trends in human evolutions have been these. The first one is enlarged brain. During primitive time, the brain was not like the present time. And the second big trend in the human evolution is that humans started having bipedal gait, or you can say the movement. So both these two changes gave human many advantages over other animals. How? Because of large brain, it helped human to think, to decide, to communicate, and the human hands become free to use different items, like humans started making tools and also doing multifarious tasks. Till now we have covered our lesson about, we learnt about abiotic and the biotic resources. There is some content which we cover in the next video. Whatever content we covered till now, there are some questions from that content only. You try to answer these questions by trying yourself. Let us begin the exercise. Question 1. You have to name 2 natural resources without which life cannot exist. See the answer. The first answer is air and the second is water. Without both these resources, human cannot survive. There are many factors, many resources, but these 2 are the most required. Question 2. You have to state 2 uses, each for the land and the second for the metals which are used by humans. The 2 uses for the land is that first humans started making shelter, and the second, human used land for agriculture, for pottery, etc. So many work. And the second question was stating the 2 usage for metals which were used by humans. The human used metal for making tools, and also metals were used for making ornaments and other different things which were used in daily life. Question 3. Where did primitive humans live? See the answer. Caves. It was dark inside. It was long time ago. Question 4. You have to state the advantage of their being able to walk on their 2 feet. What is the answer? Earlier, when the humans were using all the 4 arms and legs for walking, but now their hands became free to make tools and carry out many other activities. Question 5. When did the modern humans evolve? See the answer. It was 2 million years ago. The modern humans started evolving. Question 6. State 2 uses of animals for humans. Sorry, let us do this question again. You have to state 2 uses of animals for human. What are the uses? Let us see the answer. The first use of animal is they were used as a food, and the second use of animal is animals were used for transportation from one place to the other place. So humans used animals for food and transport. Till now we have understood the lesson. We also done the exercise, few question answer. Hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you. Namaskar.